Hi all, my name is Cody Rogers and I'm here today to share a new CAD design that I've just made. Hopefully this one is designed to clean up my messy benches. For this project I started with 3 goals to the design. The first goal was to attach to the sides of my bench, or to bench sides. Second goal was modularity. By that I mean I want to sort of be able to add new designs later that will fit into it and will perhaps help organize other tools. And the third goal is that I want it to be living. Now, living as in that I can move things around and mix and match things so that I'm never locked into one sort of configuration. If you are familiar, you might remember that I made my folder scan folder. Better take a drink of my beer here. So I landed on creating a rail system. You can see picture finished. Now honestly, we have a lot of work to do that we'll get into in this video, because in this video I just made the rail and a simple hook with the rail, but in future videos I will you can at least make a basket. You can make a basket that has like the name of the thing that's in there, so like the basket for knives will say cutouts with knives on it. Now, to constrain the design, the first thing is I wanted it to be able to be mounted this way on a 2x4. Now I apologize, this isn't a great example because this is in fact not a 2x4. This is a 2x4. So this is what I wanted. I wanted it to be able to fit right there on a 2x4. Then, because not in my shop but at the farm, we have some 2x4s that are mounted like this. So I also wanted it to fit like this. So given that, I don't know if you know this, but 2x4s are actually not 2 inches by 4 inches. They are like 3.5 inches by like 1.5 inches or thereabouts. So I wanted my rail then be, I'll just do a large version of it. This isn't to scale, by the way. My whiteboard markers fell. 1.5, 3.5. So that's what I wanted the size of the rail to fit in. It's this thing right here. Another sip of my beer. This, by the way, is one of my home brews. It's not one of my best home brews. It's called the Fruity Leftovers. It was basically made out of a bunch of leftover malt and fruit that had been in my freezer for like 3 years. Now, this is what I landed up for making the rail part. It's also not to scale. I'll throw up a drawing there of the FreeCAD sketcher. But basically, I apologize for the millimeters. I tend to think at least in inches, but I have found millimeters is actually a little bit better than inches for 3D printing CAD work. So these are the dimensions of the rail, other than like what I said. So that was the dimensions of the rail itself, and 3.5 inches standing through. For the inserts rail, basically went and draw it out to basically just minus a single millimeter off of each dimension, so that it slides pretty nice and easy through there. It is a little bit looser than it probably needs to be, but I don't need it to be that tight. So all that being said, how about let's get to the FreeCAD design.
Okay, so let's get started. I'll throw the sketch. So you'll see where we're going with this. Now here I am, just starting the sketch. Often I sketch without dimensions at first to get the general shape, but I always add 1 or 2 dimensions even during this part, just to make sure the scale is correct. The problem that I've had previously is that if I don't add any dimensions, then the scale, as soon as I start adding dimensions, it gets blown way out of proportion and there's trouble. So always put like 1 or 2 dimensions at the start, and then just sketch the general shape and add all the rest of the dimensions later. Now I'm just adding the rest of the dimensions to make it fully constrained. Here is a whiteboard sketch, not to scale. Now we are creating a pad of our sketch. In SolidWorks, I believe this is an extrude. The analog of it is extrude in SolidWorks, I think. Next, I created the mountain holes. I started by doing a simple hole, but then I thought subtractive lock would be better. Reason being is that screws should fall flush in then. That is why I ended up making a smaller hole on the bottom of our rail, so you can see here. This is me forgetting that a subtractive loft is in fact not an additive pipe. I decided this was good enough to test, so I saved it, and then I exported it as an STL file. Then opened it in Prusa Slicer, the STL file, laid it out on the bed properly. As you see, it came like sort of sideways. Switched to my backup/test printer, which is my old Anycubic, and I exported the G-code to print, and I printed it. Here I am just taking the dimensions of the hole in the rail. Now, I appear to be making the mistake of making it way too loose, which you'll see later I fix. Here's a little picture of it. Now I'm just starting the new part with a sketch. Again, I just roughly draw the sketch and make the dimension thereafter. And now we are going to do the pad. Now I'm making a sketch on a face, which I learned is not the best practice, but it is convenient, and this is a pretty simple part. Now I'm just measuring a metal pegboard hook that I have. It is 5mm, so that's what I made the circle initially for, in thickness. I'm sketching a path for the additive pipe. Now you see where like I'm sort of making the end hook thing. I'm just sort of freehanding or guessing how, like, you know, big of a hook I want. The length of the hook I had an idea of, but not for the actual hook shape. And now I'm finishing off that sketch with a nice fillet. I went back to the circle to make it a bit bigger and to recenter it because it looks like I didn't do it correctly. I made it 12.5 millimeters instead of 12. Oh no, 11.5, I guess. Whatever it is. So now it's in the center. And let's make the pipe, and it cracks. Okay. Now here is me realizing that I do need to dimension it, that circle, in the right place. Now it is finally done. So now that we've done the initial design, a nice whirlwind tour, I decided to step back and tell you what I found as mistakes in that first design. Biggest mistake was that I put the screw holes too close to the edge and it cracked the 2x4 that I was using. So I'll put that down. And I'll throw up a picture of that here for you. Another major issue that I had, that is actually going to be really even worse than this one, is that the inserts, like so my hooks, were too loose, like way too loose. They would just sort of flop around inside. So I'll go to... Now, I went and I made them too tight initially, and then I went to the option that I have right now, and they're about right. They are still a bit loose, but since I'm going to try and chain these together, I'm going to keep them where they are because they do stick in there still and like not fall out or anything. The last one is no fillet. No fillet at the base of the hook. So that first version, if you were paying attention, I didn't make a fillet on the base of the hook, which is poor of me because it will give it more strength at that joint, and that's where it will almost always break if it's going to break anywhere. So, I have FreeCAD showing me fix this one and fixing this one. Shall we go watch? So let's go and fix the rail mounting holes. Here's me changing the dimensions to move them so that they're 17.5 millimeters away from the edge versus 10 millimeters away, which they were before. And now I am just moving the other set of holes in the subtractive loft. Of course, you have to have two hole sketches for that loft. And I guess I got this, but I also made that larger top hole even bigger so that the screws could drop in much easier. And that's about it. Let's move on to the adding the fillet on the rail. I seem to have forgotten to put a fillet here, which, as you can see, is still there. It breaks. That's not good. Let's just make a fillet. quickly. So you select that edge, click that, and then say I want it to be 3. Maybe we want it to be a little bit less. 2. Right there. Okay. That looks good. So yeah, now I'll save this and probably export it. Okay, thank you. So I have the hook and the rail working now. And I've started to clean up my benches. Kind of, at least one of them. You can see in pictures here and here, there's my bench getting partly clean, much better than it was. Comparison, maybe remind yourself there's what it looked like. And then the hook, some of the hooks just mounted and shown that they're working. Now, as the next part in this direction, let's talk about what the sort of future projects and future additions to this, since I want it to be modular and extendable, like I said. First up is a very interesting idea. How do you spell one? I don't know. Is I'm gonna make a poop hook, or not poop hook, poop bag holder. So you see, I know this is a very bad drawing, but this, it will be the insert. Just imagine that it's like the proper dimensions that I've shown you. And then this is where the poop bag, horrible drawing. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Shouldn't take very long once I decide to do it. Like, second is a basket. Now, I want this basket to, yes, mount and be able, like, be movable so that I can move it from place to place. But I also want it to be able to see into it. So I'm going to probably do a checkered sort of cutout of it so that I can see the contents inside of the basket. And then 3 is a notebook holder. I don't know if you know this, but I tend to use notebooks a lot. You see this one here has all of my notes regarding this video. And I want something where like I can just sort of put these in a place which is easily accessible on my benches somewhere so that I can have them close to the stuff where they're usually being worked on. So like the 3D printing log will be right next to the 3D printers. The brewing log will be by the fermenters. The electronics learning log or project log will be by the electrical bench, etc., so on and so forth. So those are those 3 I have thought of. Now, I'm sure that you all have better ideas than I do. Please insert them in the comments below, and maybe even comment if you designed something similar or have designed something to be added into it. If you want the STLs to this project, I will be putting them on Prusa. Well, not Prusa, printables for people to download for free. So I think for now, that's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned and come and see my future videos or even some of my past videos. Thank you.